Jamaica has always had a history of domestic abuse. What do you believe is the cause for a spike in murders of women by men?
Yeah. We suffer a lot of generational trauma in Jamaica. You know, we have to remember where we're coming from. You have to remember, you know, our men and our people, significant portion of our people, were brought across as cattle almost, likened to cattle. And, you know, some of the more strapping fellows were used to breed and to not connect with their partners or not connect with their offspring. And there is a generational effect that has come from this. Mind you, you know, in my practice, I say to my clients after a certain age or a certain stage, I say, look, we can always deal and recognize the traumas that happen in our early years. The true mark of adulthood is when we say, you know what? I'm in charge of myself now. Whatever happened in the past is in the past. And the truth is, some persons reach into them 60s, 70s and never come to that realization, never reach real adulthood. Some persons, some little kids at 7, 8 years old, they recognize that they need to take charge of themselves. And likewise as a nation, we have generational trauma, but there comes a time when we need to say, you know what? This is our state and this is us now. What can we do to address it? And, you know, again, I go back to that premise of play and enabling our people to play. I think that is the solution, a big solution to crime and violence. Putting in avenues and, you know, it's just to explore how you can enable that, making the time, making the resources, making the places available for that to happen. But relationships and man and woman business, there is significantly a big breakdown of communication usually and ways to resolve conflict. You know, we need to appreciate that the fact that you might have a different opinion than me is just a matter where we see things differently. It's just a different perspective. It doesn't mean that me have a writ against you or, you know, you're out of my life or me not going to communicate with you again. And we need to come to that realization, you know. And unfortunately, trust. When trust is broken, it is hard to repair and people carry that anger. And this is now, again, it relates for me to our families and not just the long-term generational issues, but within our families. You didn't really ask me about this directly, but it relates to it. One of the big issues that I find in our society is our lack of proper sex education and sex and awareness of sexuality and the freedom to learn about it. You know, sex has always been a taboo topic in Jamaica. You know, you're not supposed to ask questions. You know, a child growing up, you know, not supposed to be curious and so forth. But there's a lot of sex happening. And it is happening in unhealthy ways and unguided ways. And mind you, I'm not talking about sexuality and sexual preferences. That's a different argument. I'm just talking about the freedom to explore and to ask questions and to get answers in healthy ways and to recognize that you have a choice and you have a choice to choose and not to choose, you know? And within our families, a lot of unhealthy sexual exploration happens and there are consequences to that. And therein lies a big breakdown in trust. And if you can't trust within your core family, what happens when you go outside? What happens when you go into the greater community? Remember, the family is what builds you up to go into the greater community and the greater world. So what you experience there is what carries through. And so a lot of the issues, I think, when it come on to violence and, you know, that type of stuff against women is unfortunately stemmed around that. Without a doubt, too, women are at a disadvantage financially. And if there's any way to empower a woman, is to give her her own paycheck. So even with all, I mean, I'm involved in a lot of gender issues and so forth in the Senate and stuff. And one of the things that I really try and champion is for better financial opportunities for women to be their own independent selves, because that gives them choices. That gives us choices.
Well, let me hear you say mountain.